A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For those who have just joined in for this video, I'll introduce myself again. My name is Advocate Radhikesh Uttarwar, and I'm a practicing advocate in Pune. I head up Interlegal, which is a multidisciplinary full-service law firm based in Pune and Mumbai. I practice myself before the District and Sessions Court in Pune, the Honorable Bombay High Court, and the Honorable Supreme Court of India in various civil and other matters. This is only the second video in our instructional sort of series where we are trying to elaborate on the legal aspects of certain situations which will be faced by businesses, by individuals as we come out of the lockdown and the corona crisis. Now, and I will take a moment here to thank Ms. Anmol Raheja for the suggestion that she gave regarding the topic of this particular video, which is dealing with tenant and landlord disputes for non-payment of rent and the legal aspects or the legal position of non-payment of rent under a valid rental, lease or a leave-in license agreement. Now, let me first start off with the clarification that there are certain words which in common language are used interchangeably. So a lot of people might say, I stay in a particular flat on rent. Now this rent could mean several different forms of contract. And the most commonly used ones in today, especially in Maharashtra or in other states in India, are the lease or a leave-in license. Now, each state has a separate rent control act under which these agreements, from which these agreements derive their sanctity, and therefore, if I were to take the example of my home state, Maharashtra, for example, we have the Bombay Rent Control Act, and Section 24 of that said act defines what is a leave-in license agreement, whereas a lease is covered under a different section. Now, I won't get into much detail with regards to whether or not a lease is more beneficial or a leave-in license is more beneficial for premises. But the thumb rule which I have seen in practice in commercial terms is that for commercial premises which are to be taken for use by a particular entity for a longer period of time, a few years maybe, ideally a lease deed comes to be executed between the parties, whereas for shorter durations, people prefer leave-in license agreements. Now, a lease deed confers certain rights on the tenant, which allow him the exclusive use of those premises, which is why in several recent judgments where people, in order to maybe avoid the payment of stamp duty or otherwise, were used to executing perpetual leases. So, for example, a lease of 999 years or 99 years even amounts to what is called as a perpetual lease, and it is as good as a sale. Once that lease has been executed, even for the provisions of stamp duty or otherwise, it is considered as a sale of the property. So, first, when we distinguish as to whether the property, whether your property, and I'm going to address this from the point of view of both the lessor and the lessee, or the licensor and licensee, as the case may be. So first, if we consider lease agreements, usually what we've come to see is that when a particular entity takes a commercial premises or any other premises for that matter on a long-term lease, they will usually make certain investments in order to make it suitable for their use. So for example, take the example of a company which leases out a large commercial complex, let's say, and spends crores of rupees refitting it, making cabins, furnitures, ACs and so on and so forth, in the expectation that they are going to occupy it for the entire period of the lease. As opposed to that, the leave-in license is for, like I said, a slightly shorter period, usually given for flats or residential units for 11 months at a time. Both of these confer very different rights on the tenants. And if you are a lessee in a particular property, if your property, and if you're a landlord, if your property has been leased out to a particular person, then eviction of that person is much more tedious. I wouldn't say difficult, it is more tedious as compared to that of a license agreement, because in a lease you're conferring the exclusive use of that property, including sometimes limiting the right of access of the landlord himself too. So first and foremost, when we are looking at the corona crisis ending, I've had a lot of people who have rented out their properties come forth and ask me, what do I do if my tenant refuses to pay the rent, the agreed rent or license fees? And vice versa, I've had several of my friends come up to me and ask me that in light of the directions given by the state government for landlords not to evict anybody until the corona crisis is over, of course it was for a specific period of time, but in light of those directions, is it okay for me not to pay my rent? Now, I will cover the legal aspects, but before I do that, before I get into the technical parts of which clauses can be invoked, I'd first like to add a word of caution. And this is from a purely practical perspective, that particularly in the case of commercial premises, let's accept the fact that a lot of businesses, particularly small, medium enterprises with not a lot of capital backing, are likely to go out of business once we end the crisis and step out of it. Work from home is fast becoming a reality with even the major players, IT players, for example, and it looks like it's likely to stay. So demand for commercial premises on a license basis is likely to go down significantly once we come out of the corona crisis or the COVID crisis. So also, we also need to keep in mind that non-payment of rent, even though it forms the ground for eviction of the tenant. So most landlords come up to me and say, either paisa de do, and forgive the use of the colloquial, but either paisa de do ya jagah khali karo. Either pay up your rent or evict or vacate my premises. Now, while this may be the case, I urge most of the landlords and their tenants or their licensees at the very outset of this video that if it is indeed possible, and if there is a genuine difficulty for the licensee in paying the rent, it is always better for you to meet up, or in these times maybe talk to each other over a video call, renegotiate the terms of the contract, because obviously you would have a contract where a particular lock-in period has been specified. If the rental amounts are high, like they are in certain commercial premises, you will have other clauses which restrict the rights of the licensee, and so on and so forth. But if that is indeed the case, I urge all the viewers who foresee that there might be a dispute to sit across the table, to renegotiate and come to terms with a temporary solution which is beneficial to both parties and which both parties are acceptable in dealing with. Now, this may entail a temporary reduction in rent until, say, maybe the corona crisis is over, say December 2020, and then going by how the scenario works out, you could look at possibly doing coming back to the original terms from January or so on and so forth. You could actually even consider increasing the tenure, not having them pay rent for these few months and instead increasing the tenure, having them pay it at a later date when the tenure of the current agreement is coming to an end. This is particularly true in case of businesses like hospitality or restaurants, which have remained closed and will remain closed for the foreseeable future. So basically these premises are not being utilized by them for the purposes that they were supposed to be utilized. Now, that being said, there will be an equal amount of profit mongers, there will be an equal amount of people who, despite having the capacity to pay rent, will avoid the payment of rent under the garb or under the guise of this particular crisis. And this, the legal process that I am about to enumerate is going to deal with these cases of willful withholding of rent by tenants who are otherwise able to pay their rent. Now, this, whether or not, is something that I leave to each person to decide on their own and would depend on the facts and circumstances of each case. But if you are of the opinion that your tenant is deliberately withholding the payment of rent, then what is the legal or factual position surrounding the COVID crisis? Now, having said this, the COVID crisis is unprecedented, and no contract that I have seen to this date would deal with a contingency like this crisis. Whenever we enter into a contract, we usually come up with all the possible scenarios that we can imagine and try and incorporate them into the contract so that there are minimal disputes in the future. But something like this is unprecedented, and the only reference which can be made, which has indeed been made by several government bodies. In fact, most recently I've seen the term being invoked in a circular issued by the Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority, and that term refers to force majeure. Now, that being a technical term, in common parlance, it would mean an act of God, something that we refer to which is completely beyond the control of both parties to a contract. And secondly, that condition must affect the ability of one of the parties to the contract to fulfill his or her promise as per the contract. So, taking in the case of a license agreement, while the licensor promises to hand over his premises for the use of the licensee, the licensee agrees to pay his rent. These are reciprocal promises made by each party to one another. Now, in a situation like this, if the situation which is completely beyond the control of both parties, it is not deliberate, and if it affects the ability of one of the parties, say, let's say the tenant or the licensee in this case, to fulfill his promise for the payment of rent, then it can be called a force majeure event. Now, a force majeure event ideally is invoked on the basis of a clause contained in your agreement itself. And here again we'll see a distinction. For flats, usually the Maharashtra government has prescribed a particular model form of agreement under section 24 of the Maharashtra Rent Control Act, and most people who have given their premises, flats or residential premises on leave and license basis for for short amounts of time will find that that particular agreement is standardly used. Now, that agreement does not contain a force majeure clause. There are no conditions, there are no stipulations put into that agreement which will dictate what happens when such a thing happens, when such a situation arises where one party is unable to. Under normal circumstances, we would not have even considered non-payment of rent as a force majeure event at all. Say, for example, if my licensee loses his job and is unable to make the payment of rent, the law is very clear. It is not within the control of the landlord and should not ideally affect the promise made to the landlord for the payment of regular rent. He is entitled to collect his rent. The Maharashtra government specifically issued an advisory at the beginning of the lockdown period asking landlords not to take any coercive action against tenants for non-payment of rent. Now, a lot of people mistook this for saying that the government has urged landlords not to collect rent. This is not true. Let me be very emphatic, very clear on this, that a leave and license agreement is a pure contractual relationship between two parties based on free will of each of those parties. So therefore, the government issuing an advisory to landlords does not constitute a legal obligation on them to not collect rent. Yes, on humanitarian grounds, I would also urge most landlords not to begin eviction proceedings, and given that courts are currently only taking up very urgent matters, it's technically not even possible to initiate eviction proceedings unless certain illegal acts such as those involving drugs or other activities, illegal activities are involved. But if that is not the case, you can't initiate eviction proceedings. But once we come out of this lockdown, it will be legally the responsibility of the tenant to either pay the entire amount for the lockdown period towards rent. Several cases have been filed in various courts, being the Honorable Delhi High Court, the Honorable Supreme Court, where various classes of people, including one where lawyers' chambers were sought to be exempted from rent for the lockdown period. And in all of those, courts have unequivocally held that rent cannot be waived in view of this crisis. It may be deferred, maybe on humanitarian grounds, but you cannot waive it off. If certain parties are still not going to make a payment and are unwilling to renegotiate the terms of the contract, then the option available is the filing of an eviction suit, which can be filed before a civil court within whose jurisdiction that property is situated. Every court has a territorial jurisdiction, and in certain cases where small cause courts have been instituted, eviction proceedings must be initiated before the small cause courts. Your lawyers, your advocate can be consulted on the right court where these eviction proceedings can be initiated. The grounds for eviction can be several-fold. As specified in law, one of the first and foremost is non-payment of rent. However, an essential, very essential action that needs to be taken by the landlord is the service of an eviction notice. And in local parlance or non-technical parlance, we call it a pay up or evict notice, whereby we give the tenant or the licensee a specific period of time to pay the dues, after which he can continue in possession of the premises, failing which eviction proceedings can be initiated against that particular tenant before the Honorable Court. The procedure is like institution of any other suit, where you will be required to file an eviction suit with the help of a lawyer. Summons will be issued usually on the tenant, and after service of summons they are required to come before the Honorable Court and explain the reasons as to why they are not liable to pay rents. In cases of registered rent agreement, I have seen very, very few cases where the Honorable Courts have had to decide on whether or not the rentals were due. Otherwise, a registered rent agreement by and of itself is sufficient proof that rent is due from a particular party to the landlord, failing which eviction proceedings can be initiated. A word of caution to landlords is I have seen many people get boisterous upon non-payment of rent and attempt to do certain illegal acts, such as cutting off of essential services like electricity or water to the premises, or forcibly attempting to evict the tenant from the premises. Let me caution all of you at the very outset that this would render you liable. It is illegal, and it would render you liable for action from the tenant side itself. He can actually lodge proceedings against the landlord for any such action. So I urge my viewers not to do that. You can approach a court of law. You can initiate. Eviction notices can be obtained from the court itself. Grounds, like I said, non-payment of rent, subletting of the property without your permission. The third one is using the property for use which is not intended. So for example, if I have leased out a particular property to use as an office, but I'm instead using it as a manufacturing unit, that could form a ground. Another ground is the use of premises for illegal or immoral activities, such as activities related to drugs or prostitution and so on and so forth. All of these form very valid grounds for the eviction of tenants. The most likely one, which I see coming up in the near future, of course, is going to be the non-payment of rent, which is a given in the event that you have a registered leave and license agreement. Another point of caution which I would like to add at the end of this video is that for landlords, in the event that you have not registered your leave and license agreement, to save out on stamp duty or to save out on certain costs, I urge you, it is compulsory, at least in the state of Maharashtra, for a leave and license agreement to be registered. Kindly approach your tenants and register the agreement as soon as possible. In several other states like Delhi also, in fact in most of India, it is now compulsory required to be registered. So if your property has been handed over to somebody on the basis of a notarized or an unregistered leave and license agreement, kindly get it registered immediately if you do not want to face problems in securing your rights over the property in the future. Apart from this, like I said, consult your lawyer in the event, but first speak to your tenant in a humane manner, and if there is a possibility, arrive at an agreement which can be registered again as an addendum to your original document. Do not keep this on a verbal promise or verbal discussions. I have seen many cases where people have said, okay, give me less rent for these 6 months, and then people come back asking for that balance amount of rent. So please do not keep these discussions in a verbal format. Register it as an addendum to your document, and once that is done, keep it for a definite period of time, after which you can register probably another addendum. There's no limit to the number of addendums to a particular agreement that can be registered, but get that registered, come to an agreement, and if nothing else works, of course, your lawyer will help you file an eviction suit. After an eviction suit is filed, you can have a court decree evicting the tenant, on the basis of which you can even seek help from the state machinery if your tenant refuses to vacate the premises. I hope this video was instructional and you found it useful. If there are any suggestions or comments, please do leave them in the comments below. We'll look forward to seeing you in several of my other videos which I will come up in due course. In the meanwhile, please subscribe to our channel. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Good night.